The Football League Cup, commonly known as the League Cup or by a name referring to the current sponsor, is an English men's association football competition. Like the FA Cup, it is played on a knockout basis. Unlike the FA Cup, where 758 teams entered in 2012 Euro 13, only 92 clubs can enter the League Cup Euro the 20 Premier League clubs, and the 72 clubs of the Football League, which organises the competition. Also unlike the FA Cup, the semi-finals are played over 2 legs. The winners qualify for the UEFA Europa League, unless they have qualified for the Champions League through their league position, in which case the Europa League berth goes to the highest-placed team from the Premier League not already qualified for Europe. The current champions are Manchester City, who beat Sunderland 3-1 in the 2014 final to win their third League Cup. Although the League Cup is one of the 3 major domestic trophies attainable by English league teams, it is perceived by larger clubs as a lower priority than the League Championship, UEFA Champions League, and the FA Cup. League Cup winners receive a £100,000 prize money, with the runners-up receiving a £50,000, considered relatively insignificant to top-flight teams, compared to the a £2 million prize money of the FA Cup, which is in turn eclipsed by the Premier League's television money and consequent participation in the Champions League. Some clubs have made a point of fielding a weaker side in the competition, making the opportunity for giant killing of the larger clubs more likely. Many of the top English sides, Arsenal and Manchester United in particular, have used the competition to give young players valuable big-game experience. Recently, in response to Arsene Wenger's claim that a League Cup win would not end his trophy drought, Alex Ferguson described the trophy as a pot worth winning. The women's game has its own League Cup, which is open to the 36 women's clubs in the 3 divisions of the FA Women's Premier League, although the women's competition is governed by the FA and not the Football League. History. The original idea for a League Cup was that of Stanley Roose, who saw the competition as a consolation for clubs who had already been knocked out of the FA Cup. However, it was not Roose who came to implement it, but Alan Hardacre. Hardacre, the secretary of the Football League, initially proposed the competition as a way for the clubs to make up on lost revenue due to a reduction in matches played for when the league was to be reorganised. The reorganisation of the league was not immediately forthcoming, however the cup competition was introduced regardless. The trophy was paid for personally by Football League president Joe Richards. Richards was proud of the competition and he had his own name engraved on it. Richards described the competition's formation as an interim step on the way to the league's reorganisation. Richards' priority was the reorganisation of the leagues. Perhaps by cutting down the number of clubs in each division, as has already been suggested, and even given more consideration to the system of 4 up and 4 down. Hardacre felt that the Football League needed to adapt to the times as the English game was losing prestige, and he felt that the Football League should take the lead in revitalising football in the nation. It must be obvious to all of you that the time has come to do something, and it is up to the Football League to give the lead. I hope the press will not immediately assume that the league is going to fall out with the FA. Or anybody else. The time has come for our voice to be heard in every problem which affects the professional game. The League Cup competition was established at a time when match-day attendances were dwindling. The league had lost 1 million spectators compared to the previous season. It was established at a time when tensions between the Football League and the Football Association were high. The biggest disagreement was how revenue was shared between the clubs. During the late 1950s, the majority of senior English clubs equipped their grounds with floodlights. This opened up the opportunity to exploit weekday evenings throughout the winter. The League Cup was introduced in the 1960 Euro 61 season specifically as a midweek floodlit tournament, to replace the Southern Professional Floodlit Cup. The League Cup was criticised by the better-endowed clubs. The Times correspondent at the time felt that the League Cup was a step in the wrong direction. The European Cup had been formed in 5 years prior to the League Cup, and the correspondent felt the League Cup's introduction was adding to existing problems. The Times published on May 30, 1960, where a drastic reduction is required in an attempt to raise quality, no doubt quantity and a further spread of mediocrity will be the dose. where men like Count Bernabeu with his wider horizons, think in terms of a European League for the future in which a lead could surely now be given jointly by our leaders. The Football League propose next season to implement their useless Football League Cup to be played in midweek. It gets the players, the clubs and the public nowhere. Aston Villa were the inaugural winners in 1960 Euro 61 defeating Rotherham United 3 Euro 2 in the final over 2 legs. Football in England was considered to be of a low quality compared to what was being played on the continent. Unfashionable clubs Burnley and Wolverhampton Wanderers were England's representatives in Europe that year. Richards referred to the appetite for European football as continental fever and was keen for the league to re-establish itself. We must be prepared to put the interests of the league and the game before individual clubs. 16 clubs opposed the competition's creation, 31 approved it. The average attendance across the League Cup was 10,556, just higher than the average gate in the third division. The total attendance of the Football League competition had fallen by 4 million from the previous season. Richards is reputed to have told Hardacre that he foresaw the League Cup final being held at Wembley, but that it wouldn't be during his lifetime. The first League Cup final to be held at Wembley was 3rd Division Queen's Park Rangers' win over 1st Division West Bromwich Albion on March 4, 1967. Richards died in 1968. The introduction of the League Cup had given the Football League more negotiating power with the FA and UEFA. Hardacre had threatened UEFA with a boycott of the Fairs Cup unless UEFA gave the League Cup winner European qualification. As a result of the negotiating tactics, UEFA provided the League Cup winner with a place in the European competitions providing the team was in the First Division. Tottenham Hotspur were the first team to qualify for Europe by virtue of winning the competition. Although Leeds United has won the competition before Tottenham, Leeds qualified for Europe based on league position. The winners of the 1967 and 1969 editions QPR and Swindon Town did not participate in Europe as they were not in the First Division. Prior to the agreement with UEFA, the competition wasn't considered worthy of the larger clubs' attention. However, once a position in Europe was on offer, as was a final at Wembley Stadium, the competition standing was improved and in 1968-69 season only Manchester United declined to participate. Everton chose not to compete in 1970 so that they could concentrate their efforts on the European Cup. Liverpool have won the Cup on the most occasions with 8 victories including 4 successive trophies in the early 1980s. They completed 2 trebles of trophy wins, in 1984 and 2001. Modern changes, in the last 10 years, following restructuring of European football, and the introduction of the restructured format of the UEFA Champions League, the League Cup was threatened with losing its UEFA Cup berth for its winners. It has retained it thus far, however. England and France are the only UEFA members offering a European berth to the winners of their second cup competitions. This has allowed the League Cup to retain popularity, especially with fans of clubs for whom success in cup competitions offers their only realistic chance of qualifying for Europe. In October 2013, UEFA announced that from the 2015 Euro 16 season, finishing runner-up would no longer qualify teams for European competitions should the winner otherwise qualify and instead the places in Europe would be awarded based on league position. Giant killings are less well remembered in the League Cup than the FA Cup due to the absence of non-league sides and the fact that many big clubs have fielded very under-strength sides when knocked out. However, there have been some notable upsets, such as 4th Division side Chester knocking league champions Leeds United out 3-0 en route to the semi-finals in 1974 Euro 75. In 1995 Euro 96, Manchester United were beaten 3-0 at home by York City in the second round, first leg. United could only win 3-1 in the second leg and went out 4-3 on aggregate. Also, the final of 1967 saw Division 3 side Queen's Park Rangers come from 2-0 down at half-time to win 3-2 against top-flight West Bromwich Albion in the first League Cup final to be hosted at Wembley Stadium. United have also been knocked out by Southend United and Coventry City in 2006 a Euro 07 and 2007 a Euro 08 respectively. In the match against Southend they fielded a strong side, bucking a trend they had themselves started. In 2001 a Euro 02, holders Liverpool were defeated 2 a Euro 1 at home by Grimsby Town, then humbled again by Northampton Town in September 2010. Grimsby recorded another giant killing in 2005 by knocking out Tottenham Hotspur. In the 2012 a Euro 13 competition, League Two side Bradford City knocked out Premier League sides Wigan and Arsenal en route to a semi-final disposal of another top-tier side Aston Villa for a Euro 3 on aggregate to reach the final, becoming the lowest-ranked team to do so since Rochdale in 1962. Swansea City, in their centenary year, became the first team from outside England to win the League Cup on February 24, 2013, when they beat Bradford City 5 a Euro 0 to win their first major cup. Former league club and now defunct Scarborough defeated Chelsea 4-3 on aggregate, in October 1989, whilst a Division 4 club. In season 1992-93 Scarborough then defeated Coventry City 3-2 on aggregate, before ultimately going out of the competition, narrowly 0-1, against Arsenal. Format: the League Cup is open to all 92 members of the Premier League and the Football League and is divided into 7 rounds, organised so that 32 teams remain by the third round. Since 1996 a Euro 97, teams involved in European competition during the season have received a bye to the third round. The remaining Premier League teams enter at the second round, and the remaining Football League teams enter at the first round. If the number of byes causes an odd number of teams to enter a round, another team may be given a bye or a preliminary round may be played between the two teams promoted from the Football Conference the previous season. Preliminary rounds have only been necessary in the 2002 a Euro 03 and 2011 a Euro 12 competitions. Up to 1995 a Euro 96, all teams were involved by the second round, although some received byes to that stage. Matches in all rounds are single-legged, except for the semi-finals, which have been two-legged since the competition began. The final was two-legged from 1961 to 1966, but has been single-legged ever since. The first round was two-legged from 1975 a Euro 76 to 2000 a Euro 01, and the second round was two-legged from 1979 a Euro 80 to 2000 a Euro 01. Single-legged matches would be replayed as necessary until 1993 a Euro 94, when penalties were introduced to settle the first replay. The last single-legged tie to require a replay was played in 1996 a Euro 97. Until 1974 a Euro 75, two-legged ties that remained level after extra time in the second leg would be replayed. In that time, 3 ties reached a third replay. Between 1975 a Euro 76 and 1979 a Euro 80, ties would still be replayed, but a penalty shootout would be used to settle ties that could not be decided after a replay. Replays of two-legged matches were finally abolished for 1980 a Euro 81, with the away goals rule and penalties being adopted instead. The semi-finals were the exception to this, with level ties being replayed until 1986 a Euro 87, after which the away goals rule and penalties were introduced. Final. For the first 6 seasons of the Football League Cup, the final was played over 2 legs, with each leg being played at the home ground of each finalist. Since 1967, the final has been played as a single match at Wembley Stadium, although the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff was used between 2001 and 2007, following the demolition of the old Wembley. Between 1967 and 1997, finals that finished level after extra time would be replayed at an alternative venue until a winner was decided. The only final to require 2 replays was the 1977 final between Aston Villa and Everton. The venues that hosted replays were Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield, Old Trafford and Main Road in Manchester and Villa Park in Birmingham. Since 1998, finals that have finished level after extra time have been decided by penalty shootout. Since 1990, the best player in the League Cup final a Euro was chosen by the Sky Sports television panel. A Euro has been presented with the Alan Hardacre Trophy, named after the former secretary of the Football League who devised the Football League Cup. The current holder of the trophy is Manchester City's Samir Nasri. Ben Foster is the only player to win the award more than once. Sponsorship. Since 1982, the League Cup has been named after its sponsor, giving it the following names. UK broadcasters, from the 2009 Euro 10 season to the 2011 Euro 12 season, Sky Sports broadcasts selected round 1 to quarter-final matches. The BBC broadcast Tuesday semi-final first legs and second legs while Sky Sports broadcast Wednesday semi-final first legs and second legs. The final was co-broadcast by the BBC and Sky Sports. From the 2012 Euro 13 season, up until at least the 2017 Euro 18 season, Sky Sports have a contract to broadcast 15 live matches per season, including semi-finals and final. Since the 2009 Euro 10 season up until at least the 2014 Euro 15 season, the BBC broadcast highlights. Trophy. 3 different trophies have been presented to the winners of the League Cup since its inauguration: the original trophy, given to the winners since 1990 Euro 91, the trophy presented from 1986 Euro 87 until 1989 Euro 90 during Littlewood's sponsorship of the competition, the trophy presented from the first season of the Milk Marketing Board sponsoring the competition, 1981 Euro 82 to 1985 Euro 86, records. As of 2014, most tournament wins, 8 wins, Liverpool. Most final appearances, 11, Liverpool. Most tournament wins, 5, Ian Rush for Liverpool. Most final appearances 6, Ian Rush for Liverpool and Emile Heskey for Leicester City, Liverpool and Aston Villa. Highest goal scorer, Jeff Hurst, Ian Rush 49 goals. Highest goal scorer, Clive Allen, for Tottenham Hotspur, 12 goals in 1986 Euro 87. Most goals scored in a match, 6 goals, by Frankie Bunn for Oldham Athletic vs Scarborough, October 25, 1989. Biggest win, Liverpool 10 Euro 0 Fulham, second round first leg, September 23, 1986 and West Ham United 10 Euro 0 Bury, second round second leg, October 25, 1983. Biggest aggregate win in a semi-final, Manchester City 9 Euro 0 West Ham United, January 2014. Biggest win in a final, Swansea City 5 Euro 0 Bradford City, February 24, 2013. Highest scoring game, Reading 5 Euro 7 Arsenal, 4th round, October 30, 2012 and Dagenham and Redbridge 6-6 Brentford, 1st round, August 12, 2014. Youngest player, Ashley Chambers, 15 years 203 days, for Leicester City vs Blackpool, 2005. Youngest goal scorer in the final, Norman Whiteside, 17 years 324 days, for Manchester United vs Liverpool, 1983. Youngest captain in the final, Barry Venison, 20 years, 7 months 8 days, for Sunderland vs Norwich City, 1985. Winners, as of 2014, 8 times, Liverpool, 5 times, Aston Villa, 4 times, Chelsea, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, Tottenham Hotspur, 3 times, Leicester City, Manchester City, 2 times, Arsenal, Birmingham City, Norwich City, Wolverhampton Wanderers, 1 time, Blackburn Rovers, Leeds United, Luton Town, Middlesbrough, Oxford United, Queen's Park Rangers, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke City, Swansea City, Swindon Town, West Bromwich Albion. References. External links, Capital One Cup, full results, 1960 Euro 1996, BBC News and RSSSF for attendance data.